One of the most interesting and pivotal moments of duality in Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 is Haibara's death. In a flashback, we see Geto and Nanami mourning the loss of their friend and comrade after a mission to exorcise a curse took Haibara's life. Both Geto and Nanami already previously shared similar negative sentiments on Jujutsu High and how the sorcery system was fundamentally broken. Broken in the sense that sorcerers' seemingly only purpose was to be sacrificial lambs that had to simply wait till it was their turn to kick the bucket. Seeing this seemingly never-ending cycle of sorcerers' deaths had them finally confronting the questions always looming in the back of their minds. What's the point? Should every Jujutsu sorcerer accept the overbearing profession's low survival rate? Judging by the expression of exhaustion and despair on their faces and in their voice, this was something they saw over and over and over again. They did their best to keep moving forward even without clear answers. However, Haibara was simply the straw that broke the camel's back. This would lead both Nanami and Geto to leave Jujutsu High in hopes of numbing their pain and trauma and looking for different paths to pursue different goals and outcomes. Again, Haibara's death was the tipping point. But it wasn't just the profession itself and the constant loss of human life that drove them away. Both of their personal lives also slowly leaked and contributed to their hate in their professional lives. Nanami's personal struggles revolve around his dissatisfaction with the mundane and bureaucratic aspects of being a Jujutsu sorcerer. He finds the routine battles against curses unfulfilling, believing they don't have a big impact on the world, and his job becomes a source of frustration. Nanami's dissatisfaction with his personal life directly influences his approach to his professional life. His decision to resign from Jujutsu High is a result of seeking personal fulfillment and meaning beyond the routine tasks assigned to him. This contributes to his character's complexity, highlighting the intersection of personal values and professional choices. Geto's personal ideals and beliefs shape his journey as a Jujutsu sorcerer. His dissatisfaction with the current state of the Jujutsu world stems from his radical vision for change, but also the distance that began to grow between him and Gojo. They were best friends and a part of the same team. However, as Gojo began to master his powers and his strength exponentially skyrocketed, their bond started to dwindle. They started getting sent out on less missions together, and this isolation had a big effect on Geto's mental state. Gojo was usually the carefree, positive friend that it was almost impossible to have dark thoughts around. But the more time Geto spent alone, the more his darker thoughts came to the forefront. This includes challenging traditional practices and pursuing a path that aligns with his extreme ideals. Geto's personal ideals lead him down a darker path, influencing his professional choices. His departure from Jujutsu High and transformation into an antagonist are driven by a desire to reshape the entire Jujutsu world. Geto's personal beliefs leak into his professional life, causing a significant shift in the narrative as he becomes a formidable force challenging the status quo. The gradual revelation of Nanami and Geto's personal lives adds layers to the narrative, contributing to the overall complexity of Jujutsu Kaisen. Their personal struggles and choices contribute to the moral ambiguity within the series, making it more than a simple battle between good and evil. That said, were they wrong? Was Nanami wrong? Knowing his limited ability to change a huge, corrupt system that has been around long before him and will probably be around long after him, what could he do individually? After all, he even asks the question, why can't we let Gojo handle everything? Is he right in the sense that it would be better and technically safer just to send Gojo on all the missions, even knowing as great as Gojo is, he can only be in one place at a time? What I'm going to say next might be controversial, but hear me out. Was Geto wrong? And before you start to roasting me in the comments, let me cook. When I ask is Geto wrong, I'm not talking about his actual action and decision to try and exterminate and genocide all non-sorcerers. I'm talking more about his philosophy. For example, in World War II, the United States of America dropped 2 nuclear weapons on Japan. Countless lives were erased from existence within a flash. But even as someone who sees human life as priceless, that reckless and radical decision did end a war. If they never did that, maybe the war could have gone on for years, maybe even decades, and more lives could have been lost that way. Again, I'm not saying either Geto's annihilation plan or the United States using nuclear weapons is right. What I'm asking is, can the argument be made that sometimes people are doing or trying to do the right thing by using excessive force to avoid the most amount of total deaths in the long run? Geto and Nanami both grew to hate the broken system, But Nanami chose to change his occupation and remove himself from it, whereas Geto chose to aim his sights at changing and removing the system itself. I think this can be a really relatable theme for many people. The constant and never-ending challenges and struggles of life, whether that be at school, work, hobbies, gym, or mentally, physically, spiritually, maybe a lack of purpose, etc. Ultimately, you choose the path you walk and how you react to things, and to me, as long as you live with no regrets, you lived a respectable life. Another way I think about Geto and Nanami final development as characters and how they interact with the Jujutsu world is in baseball terms. If you remember in Season 1, the second and final competition of the 30th annual special event was a baseball game. Nanami's philosophy resembles the way Megumi played in the baseball game. When Megami walks up to take his swing, he sees Kugisaki trying to advance to the next base, and so he takes a sacrificial bunt instead of an all-out swing, ensuring she is able to advance, even though he knows it will most likely result in him getting an out. Nanami's approach ended up being very similar. When he sees Itadori, he wants what's best for him, always thinking selflessly about himself, so even in the end, he tries his best to not curse him. Geto's philosophy is the opposite, and resembles the way Itadori played. Itadori is aiming to hit the ball as hard as he can for a home run, which is a high-risk, high-reward move. Geto's approach is very similar. With regards to the Jujutsu world, he doesn't want to merely take a small step in the right direction, but rather swing for a metaphorical home run and flip the Jujutsu world on its head. In the end, while both Geto and Nanami encounter dissatisfaction within the Jujutsu world, Geto's response is radical and involves reshaping the entire system, while Nanami's solution is more personal and involves finding purpose within the existing framework. Their divergent approaches contribute to the complexity and depth of the Jujutsu Kaisen narrative, and shows two people can be dealing with the same problem but walked different paths towards potential solutions. If you made it to the end of the video, you a real one. Oh, and here's a hint. My next song will be inspired by one of these characters. Go ahead and assault that like and subscribe button for more content. #FuckMojito.